You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darragh O'Connor on the...
Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to Phoenix 92.5 FM, nerdtoknowmedia.com, thewrestlingrewind.com, and of course, the True Penny channel. This is the Wrestling Rewind. My name is Darragh O'Connor, and I am not alone. I am joined by the one, the only, Mr. 1-0, Martin Herty. How are things, Martin?
It's bad. It's a bad day, Darragh. It's a black day.
Not for you.
No,
for me, it's the best ever. I've been looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to this for an entire week. I don't think you realise this.
No, and when we get on to the show, I'll admit that I'm something of a convert, but the greatest Irish living poet, philosopher, singer, patriot, Shane MacGowan has sadly passed away. I know you weren't a huge fan, but I'm just absolutely...
No, to be honest with you, it's not that I'm a huge fan. I would be ignorant on this. So I know the Fairy Tale of New York, and I'll be honest with you, here's the thing though, right? It's not Christmas for me yet without Fairy Tale of New York. So how about that?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like I'm kind of torn on Fairy Tale of New York because like leaving everything aside, like the fact that it gets way overplayed and all that, it's an amazing song.
It is,
but they have written songs that are 10 times better, and it's good on the one hand that they got a song that made them huge. But it's kind of sad that that's what they're remembered for, and that's what Shane is remembered for,
but
when he has written literal works of art.
But look, I'll put it to you this way, right? Michelangelo, right, hated painting. Hated it, right?
Yeah.
Did not like painting. But what's he most famous for?
Being a teenage mutant ninja turtle.
Other than that, what's he famous for?
Painting the Sistine Chapel.
Yes. So,
hated painting... But he could do it upside down.
Yeah, well, he didn't really have that much of a choice. There's a good book called Michelangelo and the Pope's Ceiling. I'd recommend everybody read it. It's actually very good. But I didn't really have that much of a choice. You don't really say no to the Pope, particularly in the Middle Ages.
My roof, or I curse your soul.
Or, well, I mean, and lock you up or kill you or whatever. You know, these other things that probably were done at that point. But the point is, I mean, or even, you know, a more modern example, what's it? Enter Sandman by Metallica. Everybody knows that song, but they have much better songs. Cherry Pie by Warrant. You know, like, it's always, or even like, okay, I'm going to give you some deets, right? The new Horrendous song, which people really like. I actually don't like it that much. But we have to play it over and over and over again. And it just happens. It's like, I think it's just like a thing of being in a band. The songs that people like are the ones that you're like, yeah, it's all right, but you have to play it because it's just like even what's it? Smells Like Teen Spirit, Metallica and not Metallica, Nirvana ended hated playing it. And, you know, it's just, I think it's part of it. You know, you can never really know what pops off. You know, but I think in that sense, at least he will always be remembered. You know, like
yeah,
and his legacy will live on through that one song, even if they don't listen to anything else. And I think that's like pretty cool. You know, and look, as I said, I'm not a fan because I'm just ignorant on him. But
Yeah.
I am
Well,
sad.
it's probably not even. Is it a? It's probably not even a genre you're particularly interested in, is it?
Not that. No, I would say I haven't been exposed to it. That's the thing. I mean, in the South, man, we're not really like, you know, outside of a lock-in, you don't really hear rebel songs down here that much.
The Pogues weren't even rebels. The Pogues were. I mean, they were in terms of their politics, but the music was mostly. So they kind of invented, like we have Flogging Molly and Dropkick Murphys and all that nowadays, but the Pogues were the ones who invented kind of fusing Irish trad with punk.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
No.
I mean, but I said, like, even with, like, I mean, our singer would be more of a punk guy than me. You know,
Yeah.
The punk that I like is my girlfriend broke up with me, and I'm sad in Ohio. That's, you know,
Pop
the
punk.
Yeah, or like,
Where are you?
or emo or something like that. That's the kind of punk that I like, you know.
No,
So,
the Pogues have their roots both in like Irish trad and in like punk, as in 70s, 60s, 70s London punk. Like Shane MacGowan's first band. So he's twice been forced by the BBC to change his band name. So his first band were called
careful. We're on the radio.
Don't worry. There's no bad words.
I just wanted to be careful. Okay.
His first band were called the Nipple Erectors,
Okay.
and they had to change that name to the Nips, and then by the BBC, and then his second band, Pogue Mahone, which I'm sure
very good.
all our listeners would be familiar with. Whenever the BBC found out what it meant, they made them change it to the Pogues, and that's how we got the Pogues.
Very clever. Very clever.
But Darragh,
yes.
like I'm more than happy to spend the next 2 hours of this wrestling podcast talking about the Pogues, but you might want to move things forward.
Well, how about this? Instead of talking about a punk rock singer, we talk about the return of another punk. Uncle Phil himself, CM Punk, is now back in the WWE universe.
In honor of this, because I knew this was coming up. Sometimes we discuss what we're going to do on the show.
You have no idea how much I wanted to do a podcast for the whole week. The whole week I'm like, I can't wait to talk to Martin about this.
Well, in honor of this, I was on the WWE YouTube page earlier, and they have a new documentary up. It only went up yesterday, and it's literally called The Full Career of CM Punk.
Oh, God.
Right?
Okay.
It's not called CM Punk in the WWE. It's not called CM Punk in the Fed, or it's called The Full Career of CM Punk. So, as a massive punk fan, I'm sure you will be astonished to find out that his career only began in ECW in 2006.
Yeah.
Never wrestled before. I don't know if it was Performance Center or what.
Not one time, yeah.
But he got his start in 2006 in ECW.
Yep.
Left in 2013 for unspecified reasons that nobody knows why, and then did nothing for 10 years. Absolutely nothing, and then returned at Survivor Series.
I mean, is that not what happened?
Well, clearly, that's the full career, the full, entire, complete, unabridged career of CM Punk.
I mean, that makes sense to me, man.
I was spitting mad.
See, here's the thing. It's kind of like that meme, where I think it's from 1,000 Ways to Die in the West, and it's like, first time. This happened with Christian Cage. This happened with AJ Styles. This happened with Kurt Angle. This is your first experience with this. Welcome. Welcome to being a TNA fan.
Well, no, I've been aware of some of it.
No, but then going like, man, this is called being a TNA fan, where like they returned from TNA, or when Bobby Roode showed up, I was like, oh, is this like, it's Bobby Roode? He's amazing. And they're like, oh, this Bobby Roode's pretty good. No, it's like, he's amazing. He's really good.
I was first aware of it with Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
I think it was when they put him in the Hall of Fame, and I was like, but you didn't mention what was he spent 10 years in TNA, was it?
Yeah, he had like his best run in TNA.
It's like he spent longer in TNA than WWE. Like,
why did
you mention that?
Well, no, they have actually. To be fair, they have actually mentioned TNA before. Like in recent years, they started to do it. But what they used to do was in Orlando.
Oh yeah,
and that would be it. He was in Orlando. What, at Disneyland? He was 10 years.
Yeah, because on the rare occasion they'd refer to WCW, they'd always say Georgia, wasn't it?
Yeah, Georgia. Yeah,
Georgia. He won the title in Georgia.
But no, I haven't seen it yet. But that is pretty funny. But here's the thing, right? So last week, we talked about this, and look, I'm gonna admit something here, right? I was surprised by this. So for anyone that doesn't know, CM Punk returned literally in the dying moments of Survivor Series. Yeah. So I had endeavored to stay up. We were out drinking the night before, the night of, and then I went home. I said, no, I'm going to order some pizza and watch Survivor Series.
I can't even imagine the pop in your house.
No, here's what happened, right? So I was kind of sitting there and I had Facebook open because we were chatting. And I sent you that meme, I think it was like, oh, he's not showing up, time to go home or something like that. And then Punk's music hit. And what happened was my spirit left my body for a few moments where I was like, did I die or something? Because I couldn't put it together that one, it was happening, two, that I was right, like so comprehensively right. And then also that
absolutely
it was actually happening. And I was like,
and in fact,
I couldn't believe it. I was like, have I died?
We have to give Darragh his bouquet or his flowers or his laurel here, because I absolutely rubbished on the last podcast we did any notion that Punk was coming back. I said he was too much trouble, caused all this bother, there's legal issues and they have enough stars, blah blah blah, why would they bother? I said a 0% chance, and Darragh completely stuck by his guns, and have to say it once again, like the sale of WWE, just like I'm sure there's a string of other stuff, but I have to give you your props here. You were 100% right.
Thank you. I mean, look, and I appreciate that. It takes a big man to admit it, despite the fact that it's recorded. But WWE being sold, Sting coming back, and this. I mean, that's 3 for 3. That's pretty good. Even to myself, but this one was the strangest. Like, it made all the sense in the world, right? But again, Punk, right? But the thing about it is, it's like, the only place that can actually control them is WWE, to the point that now apparently they have like a behavior, like it's called a morality clause for anyone who doesn't know. They haven't done that since they used to do that in like old Hollywood when the starlets, they're like, listen, if you go out and go too mad, we'll fire you and we take all your money. So this is a behavioral or a morality clause hasn't been used in contracts since the 20s. It's from old Hollywood.
God.
And that's what's in his contract. So here's the thing. WWE know what they have. They're aware of it, but they're also like, right, one, Triple H is a leader, and two, they're also like, right, if you mess up, buddy, you're gonna pay for this time. So,
but here's the question. So, like, and I'm gonna preface this.
No, go on. Yeah, go on.
I don't want me and Darragh to fall over this, so I want to say
we never fall.
I love and respect Darragh tremendously, but I think we're going to disagree when it comes to our views on Punk. But here's my question for you as a Punk fan.
Yes.
They have the behavioral clause.
Yeah.
He went out on Raw on Monday and did it. I don't know what your views, but I thought it was just the most insipid, limp, like, WWE speech. So here's my question for you as a Punk fan. If they have Punk and they have him in lane and he's following the rules, what's the point of CM Punk?
This is the thing. I think you're looking at this. So, okay, my biggest problem with Punk in AEW, right? Because I need to actually preface your preface with my preface.
A pre-preface.
A pre-preface, exactly. A preamble to the preface.
A preamble to the pre-preface.
So my problem
let me prepare for this.
I mean, we can do this all day. No, I mean, my problem with Punk in AEW was what he was the authority. He literally was what his entire character was against, right? He had damaged himself in MMA by. I mean, he earned a little bit of respect and the second fight because he was a lot better, but he got humbled severely in the first fight and whatever, and done a lot of damage in that sense. But the problem with AEW was he was the authority. He literally was running things, right?
Yeah.
And it never seemed. He would say, and there's some great documentaries on them. I'm going to link them in the description, where when the guys were shooting on him, they were concerned because he was doing what he'd eventually be revealed to be doing, right, in certain ways and from certain points of view,
kicking people out of shows.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff, right? Like you can't do that if you're like the voice of the voiceless, or if you're there to help people. You can't. You're being Hulk Hogan. Like Hulk Hogan did this in WCW, right? So that's why it always irked me the wrong way. I'm like, why are you lying? This is not true. Like, it might be true from your standpoint, but objectively, you're Hulk Hogan, right? You're Hulk Hogan in WCW.
Yeah.
In WWE, Punk is never going to be a WWE guy. He doesn't wrestle like a WWE guy. He's over and people like him for it. But I think what they're doing here is they're aware of who they have, as I said, right? They know what the crack is. They know what he is. They know what he does. Seth Rollins has been working everybody for months. Now, look, sorry. I'm still getting over this cold.
No,
this deal apparently came together really quickly. I don't really buy that. I mean, I buy it a little bit, but I think what happened was they thought this deal was going to come together a while ago, and then it went cold, and then it went, really quick again. I think that's probably the truth of it. And they were dropping a lot of hints and all that kind of stuff, and they were playing with it.
I think they'll never admit it because it's a legal issue, but I think they were definitely talking to him.
Oh yeah,
while he was under AEW contract.
Oh no, absolutely. But they were, yeah. Like, he went to visit them. I mean, come on. And apparently Impact, he was going to go for Impact, but WWE sweeped in at the last moment, and they were like, okay, look, we can't match that. So that is also confirmed. That was on the table, but WWE just were like, okay, look, we'll get them. And I think that's the best decision, because Impact wouldn't have been able to control Punk. It would have been an even faster situation. He
would have been like,
it would have been worse.
A tyrant.
Yeah, it actually would have been. It actually would have been worse. It actually would, because I mean, I love Impact, I love TNA, obviously, but like, they're just getting back up. Like, Punk would absolutely just take that company down completely, because like, while the leadership is there, and it's arguably a bit like better, it is better than TK, but the money isn't there. It's not well established. It just wouldn't be able to survive.
The sad thing is that if he actually cared about wrestling the way he pretends he does, he could have gone to TNA and could have actually made it like, it could have been a resurgence. Could have made it like a maybe not a second brand, but definitely a third, and definitely like a mainstream. They could have at least gotten like a proper TV deal. And
well, look, I think TNA is going to get there anyway. They're firmly established back now and as a strong third, but they don't have the means to control CM Punk when he doesn't have. Because I mean, I think what happens is he has to fight something, right? And it has to be something that it's actually there. So in WWE, it's very easy to fight WWE. Even if you're in the system, you're fighting. And I'll get to that in a second. But with AEW, he was like, I'm just going to fight AEW. And for better or worse, that's what he did. So he'd say one thing on the television and then do another. And we'd probably get that in Impact as well. But to answer your question, with WWE, Seth Rollins has been working everybody for months. I would say years. Because obviously him and Punk, they go back a long time. And he must know at some point. Remember, Seth Rollins is the gatekeeper for these guys that came in. He was the gatekeeper for Cody Rhodes and anyone who's brought in to work. Your first guy you're going to work with, Seth Rollins. So this feud has been in the making for a long time, and I'm going to go on record. Here's exactly how it's going to go, Martin. Right? Punk cut this very milquetoast promo, which had one or two good lines in it, but the most important line was what he said afterwards. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money, right? That's going to be expanded upon to the point where Punk's going to be shown as a hypocrite. He's going to be talked down as a hypocrite. He's going to be like, you're just back here to ruin things, blah, 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 blah. And then Punk's going to go mega heel. So the difference here is we're not going to get Walmart. We're like Punk won't be allowed to be Walmart greeter Phil. He won't be allowed to be nice guy Phil. He's going to be crazy CM Punk, who's bitter and entitled the whole time. And the only difference is that won't cross into reality because he slapped one Triple H going, no, you're not doing that. And two, if he does go too bad, any money he's going to make is going to go up in smoke and probably sued into oblivion because of that behavioral clause. Like, man, those behavioral clauses, they're not jokes. They can bankrupt you. That is like, you know what that is, right? So in comic books, I think in the boys in the boys universe, they have nukes pointed at Homelander at every time, just in case he goes off, because that's the only thing they think they can kill him is by just nuking him to oblivion, and that's what WWE have strapped around CM Punk.
There's a real life version of it in J-pop and K-pop, like Japanese and Korean pop music, where they have these, they have these like boy bands or girl bands. They all have morality or behavioral clauses.
Yes,
whereby
they do.
If they're seen even having like a boyfriend or a girlfriend in public, they can just be fired and replaced with, one of the substitutes they have like on backup or whatever.
And I mean that's like, again, like these things you wouldn't see them in the West really.
Yeah,
like in modern times, but but the only time you'd see them would be, with the starlets of the 40s and the 20s. That was it, because the studios owned them basically, and now it's like, but Punk, they've resurrected this obscure thing where it's like, okay, you want to try and do this? Well, good luck. So look, I don't think we're going to get AEW Punk, right? I don't think we're going to get those match types. I think what we're going to get here is a resurgence of Punk fighting the Power, but then being shown that he actually is the Power, and you'll have your Seth Rollins, even your Roman Reigns, even your Cody Rhodes, as much as it disgusts me to even think about Cody Rhodes. Like, I hate him so much. But there's so much ammo to actually using it, and even they're talking having Austin in as well. Like, it's
I saw that. Yeah,
and that would be pretty cool. But the important thing to remember here is Punk is not the good guy at all. Like, he isn't. And in AEW, for some reason, like, oh, he is. It's like, no, you're not. Like, you're never the good guy. You never were. You never were the good guy, And that's why I wasn't able to jive with CM Punk in AEW. Because I'm like, until the end, where he's like, oh, man, like, I was with you. I was like, this is the best heel turn ever. No, it turns out that was him just trying to destroy the company. It's like,
Brawl
oh my
Out.
God.
If Brawl Out had been a work, that would have been the best piece of business that any company had done
I think
in years.
That's exactly what they're going to do in WWE. It's going to be Brawl Out, but worked the way they should have done it. Because Triple H is like, look, we know what the story is here. We all want to make money. Let's make as much money as we can. And we're going to work this in. And I think you'll see some very interesting things with that. And Punk's promo really set that up. It's like, oh, that's really lame promo. But the last couple of lines that he said was like, no, that's actually CM Punk. He's here because he wants to make money. He doesn't care about anybody else, but he's being open about it. And I mean, what I'd say to you is, I agree with you. It was a terrible promo. It was very, very weak. One or two good lines in it. I like the call back to the pipe bomb. I liked when he brought up AJ, because I'm like, oh, cool. AJ is probably going to come back, which is amazing. I really hope she does.
You think so?
Oh, no, I absolutely think she'll come back, yeah. Like,
I always assumed that it wasn't that she didn't have any offers or anything. I just assumed it was just she was done. She didn't.
No, I mean, I think, her husband being fired on their wedding day, and like, just the whole treatment was probably, she's like, yeah, I'm not going to work there because, that's terrible. But I mean, I think this has healed a lot more bridges than that were burned. And I think we will see her show up. Yeah, I absolutely do. Like, for real, think she'll show up.
Pretty cool.
Maybe not as a full-time performer, but definitely like, the Hall of Fame is back open up, like one more run or something like that. It opens up a lot of really cool things, which, like, when he brought up AJ, I'm like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing. That's actually the best thing about this whole thing, which I was like surprised by. But it's a learning experience as well, because there's like a whole good series of documentaries that are up on YouTube, and I will link them. I'll put them up on our socials as well, where it goes through the entire run of CM Punk in AEW. Like, his promos are great, his work, all that kind of stuff. But there is
his run where?
In AEW.
When was he in AEW? No, according to the full career of CM Punk on WWE, no, he was only in ECW and then WWE.
Oh, how silly of me. Okay. But no, I do think the insincerity that was revealed. Again, if he had just had someone to be like, look, you can make so much money with this angle by just leaning into what's actually happening, because you can see the decline right in it, where it's like, starts off well, it's kind of lame, but he has these really good matches, and then you can see when he came back, you remember when he came back from injury and he had the belt in the bag.
Yeah,
that was when he was like, I'm going to burn this place down. And you can see it when you're watching it in hindsight. You're like, that should have been an angle. Someone should have caught that and said, we're turning this into an angle. But they didn't. And I mean, I think the final...
I'd say they've tried multiple times.
And that meeting...
That's a CM Punk. So let's say the WWE return never happens.
Yeah.
AEW, CM Punk versus Kenny Omega. That's Wembley sold out. And I mean capacity sold out. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, no, it is. And that meeting that was supposed to be registered to hash things out and squash it, that should have been done. I think if there's any kind of footnote in that, that's what it should be. Because it never should have got to All In where he's baiting the head off Jungle Boy. You know,
Jungle Boy had nothing to do with it.
Exactly. Like, these things never should have happened. But, you know, and I don't think that will happen in WWE. And if it does, Punk's lost a lot of time. He's going to lose a lot of money, and he will never work again. Like, this is not only the last chance saloon. This is like last chance, but we have nukes pointed at you, Superman. So
no,
don't like, try it.
He could murder Paul Levesque live on Raw, and TNA would still hire him the next day.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, okay, probably, but he won't. The WWE return is like he would have to, but he'd have to like work for maybe on the concession stand, because that's how much these morality clauses, like, as I said, man, it is like he's put his own head in the noose here, and he's like, don't mess up. So I don't think he wants to. Like, we've said this, you know, that Punk's return is a man fueled by spite, and he is. He absolutely is. And I think what'll happen is, in the feud, he'll be like, yeah, I am here with spite. I'm here to make money. You know? And think about it, isn't that the best heel turn in the world? You're here solely to make money. It's amazing. I mean, like, it's just reality, but with the volume turned up, and AEW didn't understand what they had, or didn't have somebody to be like, listen, you're going to do it, or we're going, or actually, sorry, no, let me start that. They didn't take the necessary precautions to allow them to do this. And as I said, man, and I've said this from day one, and I'm not attacking AEW on it, but I have said it from day one. AEW never learned the lessons of WCW, and it is WCW it's modern WCW, right? It is, and I mean that in the best way, and I mean it in the worst way, because if this was the exact same problem that Hogan had in WCW, and they never learned the lessons from it. With someone like Punk, you make sure you have the best lawyer in the world to write a contract that he's going to follow exactly what you tell him to do, or else. And TK just didn't do that. He was like, no, we're friends. Like, no, you're his boss. No, we're besties. It's like, no, you're his boss. No, we're besties. It's like, oh, okay. And where did I see that happen? In what company after WCW?
TNA.
Exactly. In TNA. So, look, as I said, history doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes. And you're asking, Darragh, how do you know these certain things? Because they repeat. And sadly, if there's anything from Punk in this, you're like, listen, if you're going to hire him, you get the best lawyer possible. You know? And you don't have him as a friend. You know, now, don't get me wrong. I think there is still some animosity between Triple H and Punk, obviously. But they're also like, we're going to make a lot of money. And you know what I did literally when that pay-per-view was over?
What?
I bought CM Punk's new T-shirt from America. They had me immediately. I bought his T-shirt immediately.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker. I was crying and everything. It was amazing. So, and again, it was more the shock of it. I could not believe it was actually. I was like, "There's no way this is real." Because, like, on our group chat, we were having the laughs, and I was like, "Okay, he's not gonna come. I guess I was wrong." And then they put the graphic and the music hits, and I'm like, "No way." There's no, and then I thought it was a rib or something. And it's like, now he walks out and you're like, oh my God. And that's when my soul left my body for a little while. And I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. So, look, it has to go down as the greatest return of all time. Like, because, even though I said it was going to happen, I still didn't believe it. I didn't believe it as he was walking out.
You were living on faith.
Well, no, I mean, it's the thing that made the most sense. And the man is fueled by spite. Like, he's literally like, that was what was bringing him. And as I said, he's like Darth Nihilus. He's like too spiteful to leave, and you know what, not only did I buy his T-shirt, but he posted a still from a comic book called Doom War, and I actually bought the hardcover of Doom War. So that arrived today, and that's a good book. It's a book where Dr. Doom and Iron Man squashed their beef to align together to fight a larger foe. So, I mean, once he posted that on his Instagram, I was like, oh, you're actually going to come back. I mean, that was a deep cut for comic fans. And Punk really likes comics. So, like, a lot. Like, he really likes comics. So, that kind of was a big sign, too.
I mean, like, I thoroughly enjoyed and respect that wonderful sort of retelling you gave there. I think that the issue for me is that remember when he had the MMA fights and you were like, oh, that's damaged his character. It
has. Yeah, he can't come out wearing those Gracie hoodies anymore. I'm really sorry. You can't do it, buddy. You can't do it.
This whole thing, what he did in AEW, like he's constantly talking about workers' rights and standing up for wrestlers and wrestlers' unions and all that.
Bro,
and like the greatest.
He was working you the whole time.
Oh yeah. Oh no, like I know that now.
No, but I said this to you at the time.
but the point is that like the greatest like advantage any wrestler has in their negotiations with a major company is the existence of a major alternative.
Yeah, that's true.
He undermined the major alternative, and then he went back to the company that he badmouthed for 10 years, said he'd never go to again. And so, like, what the MMA fights did for you the past year has done for me, in that the whole point for me of CM Punk was that everything he said and did was different because it had a tinge of reality to it. It had an edge of reality to it. And now you find out, it's just a carny gimmick like all the other carny gimmicks. And I just can't buy into him.
So a former host of what this show used to be, the Wrestling Review International Desk, Greg McNeish, famously said, everything is a work. Everything.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. And unfortunately, you bought into that. And I said from day one, and that's why I didn't like Walmart Greenfield. I'm like, that guy means none of that. None of it. It's all lies. And you were like, no, it's okay. I'm like, no, it's CM Punk. He's lying to you. Like, straight out lies.
But he changed they had gone with a gimmick like the one you suggest he might do in WWE, because like he'd had that showdown with Moxley where Mox was saying, I'm the heart and soul of AEW, and Punk was saying, I'm the dollars and cents.
Yeah.
And
the thing about it is, it's like, if they had I hate to go back to this well, but I really have to. WCW would do similar things, and they did do similar things. I mean, Hogan genuinely believed he was fighting for rights. His rights.
His rights.
To be the biggest star there. And even though he would say other things, like, and I'm sure he did believe it, because nobody believes they're the villain. But I think, and this is the problem when you're mixing the shoot in with reality, it's very hard to know when the shoot ends and when reality begins. And with Punk, because I'm aware of him and because I've been his fan for so long, you just kind of know. You're like, this guy's the bad guy. Genuinely, he's like the biggest heel in wrestling. And not because of what he does, it's because of what he is. Punk is a heel. He's a demagogue. Literally, cult of personality suits him so well because it's like he is a cult leader who tricks people into following him.
Yeah.
And it's the most fascinating work shoot character ever because he probably believes he's the good guy. Like, you know, when he was, you know, and this goes back even to 2000 and, what was it, 12? 11? 11. When he had the, you know, when he was talking with Triple H in the ring and Triple H was like, Punk, you talk about all this kind of stuff, but only when it benefits CM Punk. And it's like, yeah, you were spot on, you know? And I think that was the first kind of hint of it. But again, with wrestling, it's so hard to know what's real and what's not. But again, like, if Punk was ever to do that again, and he won't because it's been shown that he doesn't actually believe it, it would fall flat. And I think that's why WWE have all the cards now, because they can have Seth Rollins come out and go, we know what you do. We know what you've done elsewhere. You don't believe any of this. You're just here for yourself. And I mean, come on, man. Like that means one thing for you. That means you're going to be cheering for Seth Rollins to beat CM Punk.
I'll definitely not.
No, but I mean, now think about it, right? If you were a WWE fan,
yeah,
and you were of the opinion that you would watch CM Punk again, in that sense, whoever is going to say that, you're going to be on their side because Punk has hurt you. Correct?
I mean, that would hurt me. No, that sounds a wee bit too. Do you know what? It's actually my dislike for him is now a lot like my dislike for Seth Rollins, in that it stems.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
It stems mainly from his antics, his shilling for the company after they fired hundreds of people.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
you
fair.
know. So I like whenever he comes on screen, and it's not even to do with his, like, I don't like his gimmick, but I can get over like not liking gimmicks. Like if someone's a good wrestler, like I don't like his whole.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Seth Rollins' current gimmick at all. Like, I'm really not. But you know,
so my dislike for Rollins comes from that.
Yes,
the
that makes
real
sense.
Life aspect of
that.
It.
Genuinely makes sense. Yeah,
that would be where my dislike for Punk comes from, like from a real life loss of respect for him, as a person, as a wrestler. Like the thing with CM Punk is he's not like he's a good, on his day, a good to great wrestler, right? Like forget everything in the ring. On his day, he's a good to great wrestler. But the standard is excellent. Like the standard isn't good to great anymore. Like the standard nowadays, your bog standard mid-carders are technically in ring excellent nowadays. So for me, when you remove the edge of reality to his character, what you're left with is a good wrestler in an era when the standard is excellent.
but see, the wrestling was never really the main thing that people wanted to see from CM Punk.
Yeah.
You know, it was the whole package. I mean, when Punk talks, you still listen.
And maybe that's why he's more suited, despite his issues. Maybe that's why he's more suited to WWE than AEW, because AEW does the bulk of its storytelling in the ring. Like now,
I mean, so you see the way, like Collision. I do think there was room for what CM Punk wanted. Like CM Punk wants, like what he wanted. I think looking at Collision, he wanted a WWE version of, like a WWE storytelling version of wrestling, which still had quality wrestling matches, but was more old school, for want of a better word. The flippy
old school's perfect, because they even they started out with those like old like 80s and 90s Saturday Night Live promos.
Yeah, exactly, and that was kind of what he wanted. And then AEW is like a work rate to flippy dippy kind of thing, which was good in Dynamite, which is its own thing, and people really like. Don't get me wrong, I really like work rate wrestling. I genuinely do. Like New Japan kind of stuff is phenomenal. And that was kind of to set it. So there was room for it. It's just the problem, and this again goes to any wrestler at any point, even to an independent level. And you know this, because I've experienced it as well. where people believe their gimmick. And once you believe your gimmick is real, that's when problem happens. That's when problems happen, and that's where it becomes. And there was no one in I was going to say TNA because that's true. There was no one in TNA to stop it, but there was no one in AEW to go, listen, you need to stop. I'm your boss. This is not real.
Yeah. Well,
and
do you know what?
If someone just, sorry, just 1 second. If someone had just had stepped in and been like, listen, what are you doing? Stop it. And then have the ability to be like, if you don't stop it, we have this clause in your contract where you're out and we lose no money.
But even if AEW had that clause in his contract, it wouldn't have mattered.
No, it wouldn't have mattered. Still would have happened the same thing, yeah.
Well, no, but it wouldn't have mattered because there's no threat to it, because WWE was always there that he could go to. There's only a threat to it now because if WWE fire him, there's nowhere he can go.
Well, no, no. I mean, it depends how aggressive this contract is. I mean, this could literally bankrupt them. This could be like, we'll take every penny you have.
Yeah. Like, there could be like
it could
penalties,
be like,
fines attached to it.
Exactly, and I would put money on it. That's what's in it. It's not just we're firing you. It's like, hey, we're firing you, but here's the damages, and they could be millions of dollars. Now, again, I haven't seen it. I don't know, but Triple H is a very smart business guy, and WWE have incredibly good lawyers. So, it's like that they knew what they, as I said, they have Homelander. And they have every nuke on the planet pointed at Homelander in case he goes rogue, and that's kind of what they were doing, And in AEW, again, for better or worse, it was said in a documentary where TK's greatest strength is his love for wrestling, but his greatest weakness is his love for wrestlers.
But this is actually what I was going to say earlier.
That's kind of what the problem there.
People say in a kind of dismissive way, oh, he wanted to be friends with, but I don't think he wanted to be friends. I think it was that he wanted to do business with wrestlers differently. He didn't want to be. You can't do
that though.
Yeah, but at some stage you have to take wrestling out of it and just think of it as a business or a company. At some stage you have to treat people with humanity. Vince McMahon treated wrestlers for decades was horrendous. It wouldn't be allowed in any other company.
No, that's true.
What do you call him? Yang, your man who ran for president. He was saying he actually had part of his presidential platform that if he gets elected, he will investigate WWE for employment abuses.
I do agree that reforms are needed, right? But I will put it to you this way: what happens if you don't do your job, like your actual normal job? What happens if you don't do what your boss tells you to do?
Well, Darragh, I work for the assembly in the north. So.
Okay, bad example.
a horrendous example.
It is. No, it is. I realized as I was saying it. Okay. You work making widgets in a factory, right? And you have to make X amount of widgets in your contract, 50 widgets a day, right?
Yeah.
And you're working through and you're making them, and your boss is like, "Oh, how's it going?" You're like, "Oh, I don't feel like making widgets today." You're like, but you have to. It's in your contract. No, it just doesn't work for me today, brother. You're not going to be working for widgets for very long, right?
No,
because it would be a breach of contract. And the thing, the thing about it is, with wrestling, I think there's a line between what WWE is which can be horrendous, particularly under Vince McMahon, and what WCW did, which was horrendous in a business sense, where they have creative control. And I don't think that balance has really been found yet. I think Triple H, and I'm not just saying this because Triple H is my favorite wrestler, I'm saying it because I think he is...
A little bit. You are a little bit.
No, I mean, come on, man. He's incredible. He brought CM Punk back and nobody believed he would.
Bring CM Punk. AEW fired CM Punk.
I know, but
you're giving him an awful lot of credit. For...
But he's the game.
You can't say I'm not saying this because I'm his biggest fan and then go, but he's the game.
I know.
You're clearly saying it because you're his biggest fan.
I'm not his biggest fan, but he is,
who's one big? I think you're a bigger fan than Stephanie McMahon.
Look, all I'm saying is what he's been able to do is incredible, right? I think he will probably find the way to get that balance of the new way of running wrestling. And look, to be honest with you, Tony Khan almost got there. He just, when you put in non-wrestlers into this world, it's a crazy world. And I've seen it because with Dixie Carter is one of the best people I've ever met. She's lovely. She's so nice. Like, and it's really annoying because like when you hear bad stuff about Dixie, no, she's like so nice, incredibly nice. I've met her several times, right? But she should have never ran a wrestling company. Ever. Not one time she've ever been involved in because she wasn't a wrestler. And since TNA has moved over to being run by wrestlers, like guys who know the wrestling world, it's improved leaps and bounds. And Tony Khan has learned that lesson. I think he's smart enough to understand that, and he's kind of now moved away to position wrestlers around and control the locker room. Yeah. And Triple H obviously knew that from the beginning. Like Vince wasn't a wrestler, but he took a very hard line to be like, "I'm the boss. This is the way it's running."
He went too hard in wrestling.
Yeah. He went too hard though, and Triple H is like, "I'm a wrestler. I've been here my whole life. I know what you guys want and how to get there." And that's why it's working. Tony Khan had to learn the lesson the hard way, which I mean, he should have just watched TNA. I mean, this is what I was saying from the beginning. I'm like, if you just watch TNA,
but your answer to every problem is just watch TNA.
And I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
I gotta give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, if you just had to watch it, you would have seen this coming. I saw it coming from day one. But and yeah, like that's kind of where I'm on with this. You know, I agree with you. I think the way Vince handled things was a bit too harsh, but we are getting there, man. You know, but you have to be careful. Like, if your job is to make widgets, and you're like, this doesn't work for me today, brother. You have to make those widgets in some way or shape or form, and I think the best way to do it is in a contract.
Well, I'll end on this.
Go on.
Obviously, my feelings are known on a like level as both a person and a wrestler. I have no respect for Punk, and therefore have no interest in watching him wrestle. But as a friend of yours, I am very happy and very excited for you over the next coming months. Like, cause this is like if I don't know if Bret Hart came back. And
it's literally
the
what it is.
90s Bret Hart.
It's literally that for me.
Yeah, so I am.
No, it's literally that for me.
Yeah,
it's like,
so I'm genuinely like delighted and excited for you and for what you're going to experience over the next couple of months, and I really hope you get everything out of that you want and that you hope for.
Thanks, man, and I appreciate that. And I feel bad because I was trying. Yeah, no. Here's the thing. Well, but Punk and all the nukes go off, and it's just that's it. I mean, like he's literally standing on top of like the mad plan. You know the mad plan from the 80s, mutually assured destruction.
Oh, like, yeah.
If he goes off, he doesn't take everything down with him. He just takes himself down several times and ends up in the poorhouse.
It's win-win for you because either you get a great CM Punk WWE run, which is a win, or he blows it all up, and then you get CM Punk and TNA, which is a win.
I mean, that's a win.
You can't lose.
No, I mean that's the thing. Like, I think when you understand CM Punk fundamentally, it makes it makes this a lot better. And in AEW, I'm like, oh, we only just got real Punk near the end. When he came back with that belt, which was a complete act of defiance and a slap in the face to everything he'd said, I was just like, oh yeah, we're at the descent here. It's like
it was such a cool. I loved that real world champion gimmick. I thought that was class.
But it wasn't a gimmick. See, that's what I'm saying to you.
No, but
he actually believed it. It wasn't a gimmick.
I thought it was a genius way of having 2 world titles without having 2 world titles. Because the way WWE now has
3 world titles.
Has the world title that Roman Reigns has, and has the kind of toy title that they let Seth Rollins play with. Like, I thought it was a really cool way of.
It's so harsh, but also very true. Yeah.
Of having, I'll admit, probably there's 15% of that just comes from my personal animosity.
No, that's
but
okay. What if Finn Balor has it? Then do we like it?
If Finn Balor wins
it.
No, but here's the thing: is that like there's loads of wrestlers in WWE that I love and respect. I don't like what WWE does with them. I don't like the WWE style of wrestling. I don't like the WWE presentation of wrestling.
You know what I really like though at Survivor Series? Some fan was given out to Finn Balor. You know, after he went over and ripped the sign because someone asked to do it. And then he was like, "Oh, go on Twitter and tweet about CM Punk." Oh, and it was the most Irish I've ever seen Finn Balor be. It was like literally he's in Dublin making fun of someone, and I was like, "This is amazing. I love it." And I don't know if that was lost on anyone who isn't a dub, but it was the most dub I've ever seen Finn Balor be, which is funny because he's from Bray. But
which is Wicklow for international listeners.
Yeah, it's beside Dublin. It's basically Dublin. But I really enjoyed that part. That was quite funny. But
and come here, like before we go into TNA,
it's the best show ever.
Let's do a quick sideline. Not that any of it matters because
none of it matters.
Survivor Series.
It immediately went out the window.
It's just like everything that the wrestlers did, just pointless. Like.
Here, come here. Before we do that though, actually on that point, because we will drop the hour. We will drop at the hour. But was it kind of harsh to have a show that nobody cared about? Because I mean, I was watching that and I just didn't care about anything. Now it was really good, but I just was like, if I would have been devastated if Punk didn't show up, even though there was no reason for it. And I think everybody else was just sitting there, just like the whole night was hijacked by CM Punk chants. The whole night.
I mean, I didn't actually think the pay-per-view was that good, but and this is weird because I don't like him either, but I kind of felt bad for Randy Orton.
Yeah,
because his whole return was like massively overshadowed.
Everything was. I mean, the lads went out there and had pretty good WarGames matches. The WarGames matches were really good, and Gunther went out and killed The Miz, and that was amazing. But like the show itself was okay, but it was like, why did you let them have a full gimmicky pay-per-view where they all had crazy bumps for no reason? Because nobody, the minute nobody cared about anything else.
Well, apparently nobody was told, and even the guys in the main event were only told
on the way out. On the way out, yeah. I mean. That's why it was kept a secret. But imagine how annoyed you'd be.
I would have.
Raging.
If I was heading out there
raging.
And they tell me after your match CM Punk's coming out, I would have turned to the wrestler I was fighting and said, "Okay, see all those massive spots we're talking about? No, we're not doing any of that.
No, we're going to go out and do the finger poke of doom and lie down.
We're going to do Randy Orton's back, so we're going to do a Randy Orton homage. We're going to do headlocks for 15 minutes, and then you can roll me up, and nobody will care."
No, nobody would care. Like literally, they could have sat out there and had like a cup of coffee and Punk's music hit, and that was it. Because that was all anybody wanted. Like the whole night was just like. But here's the thing: did you notice that a lot of the graphics were CM Punk tinged?
Like stars and
a lot, and it was just like it was there the whole time. Like, and I don't want to be all number 23 conspiracy theory thing, but it's like,
what a great movie!
Oh, that movie's awesome. Like, genuinely is. But it's like there's so much there when you're like, oh, I don't buy that this was like a last minute thing. You knew this was coming. You just kept it really well. And look,
I think part of their whole, this is last minute, blah, 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 is down to the fact that they were clearly contract tampering and they can't be seen to have been doing that.
Well, I mean, look, I don't think they're contract tampering. I think Punk was like, I'm showing up, hello. Which is like, and to be fair, it's not the first time it's happened. WWE kind of did that with Jericho back in the 90s.
Well, no, but even more recently, they were already reprimanded. Like Tony Khan threatened legal action over they were contract tampering with Malachi Black, Miro. There was a couple of wrestlers that they were.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is, he actually has to follow through with that. WWE would follow through with that, and that's probably something that can be there.
Even having conversations with someone who's under contract.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do it.
Tampering.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do it, but
So like they'll never admit it, like obviously because there's a legal thing. But
yeah, no, absolutely. But like apparently after Brawl Out, that was when they were kind of talking about it. But look, as I said, look, I really enjoyed some of the WarGames matches. That RKO spot was actually insane. I was like, why did you do that? You could have died. That poor fella from Ireland is like, man, he took a serious beating. But yeah, look, it was okay. Again, I was ready to come here and be like, yeah, it was fine. You know, disappointing CM Punk didn't show up, and then we were supposed to have like an hour laugh where I was like, oh, wasn't that a funny thing that nearly happened? But then it happened, and I'm like, oh my God, I was right about that. That's insane. So look, it is what it is.
And you know what? I'll give them their dues on this.
Go on.
And they kept that in an era when dirt sheets ruin everything. They kept that secret brilliantly. Like
they did.
It was a very rare. I think Dave texted into the group chat. Don't worry, he's still in the group chat. He's still alive, folks.
Oh, he's still around. He's still a part of the show. He's just, you know what it is? Yeah. He's like our Undertaker. He shows up for WrestleMania, and that's about it.
But Dave, oh my God, that's actually a brilliant analogy.
It's true. He shows up for the big spots, and then we're you know.
Yeah, Dave texted saying that what he loved about it was that it was a genuine real life surprise, which you don't get in wrestling anymore.
No.
And you know what? It actually made me really think about all the dirt sheets, the Twitter accounts, the websites. I don't think this applies to us because we just kind of review stuff. We don't.
Yeah, we're not brocking news. We're not brocking the news. Yeah,
we don't do any of that crap. God, they kind of do just ruin wrestling, don't they? Like it's.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, it's like at the end of the day, I describe like wrestling as a show about a show, you know, and that's kind of like the appeal. It's a show. Sorry, wrestling is a show about a sports show, you know, and it has all the different sides of it. But I think if you get too involved in the background, the backstage stuff, you kind of take away. You look behind the curtain too much, and you ruin it for yourself.
It does.
And as a wrestling fan, you're like, okay, for example, the TNA renaming, that was amazing because nobody knew it was happening. And the Punk version of that is that amplified a billion times because WWE managed to do that. You know,
and I think that is partly responsible, like that people looking behind the curtain, and I know sometimes I think they think just because they know, you know, wrestling terms that they're part of the business or whatever. But I think that's partly responsible for lots of these wrestling sites like not really concerning themselves with what's happening in the ring and instead talking about, you know, attendances and viewership and quarterly returns and TV rights deals and all that. And I'm like, that is not like that. We're not shareholders. We don't care about that. We're fans. We care about what's happening in the ring.
I had some WWE stock for a while.
Well, there you go. Well, then I didn't realize I was dealing with what do you call them from ABC? Always be closing. Yeah. Didn't realize I was dealing with the Wolf of Wall Street here.
No. It doesn't exist anymore because it's gone. It's TKO now, isn't it?
Do you still have it?
I did, but it's gone now. I sold it like once the sale was announced.
What was it? Oh yeah, it would have been at a. Wasn't it? It was a ridiculous hype.
Yeah, it was.
It
was.
Come on, Darragh, tell us. What did you make?
I'll tell you off the air. How about that? Tell you off the air. But what else?
Millionaire Darragh.
Millionaire, yeah, right. I wish.
Hollywood Darragh. Survivor Series, I thought was okay. I'll tell you what my main concern was that, like, you know, I don't like the dunking it too much, but because it's just a stylistic thing. I don't like the presentation. I don't like the style of wrestling and all that. I thought it was okay, but the main thing, no matter what WWE pay-per-view that I look forward to, is the Walter/Gunther match.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal.
I just thought this was a massive letdown.
Yeah, well, I mean,
why put Walter against the Miz Why? Like he's got this.
So he can kill the Miz.
I know, but you squash jobbers on the way up. You don't squash jobbers like when you're in the midst of, like the most historic IC title run ever. Like this is, and particularly not on like your big 5 pay-per-views. Like give him
not. Look, no, like a lot.
I always look forward to the Walter match, and I was just.
All I'll say to you on that is, and we will go to a break on this point, is that they have to get to the Royal Rumble. This is the last show of the year, and nothing on the show mattered because CM Punk was returning.
Yeah. I actually, yeah.
And that's
makes so much more sense.
Exactly. They were like, we just need to do this. Nobody's gonna care. As I said, they can have 2 lads out there playing cards, drinking coffee, and it would be the talk of the town because CM Punk walked out. And that's what happened.
Io Shirai.
Yeah, she had a great spot.
You mean I could have not jumped off the cage with a bin on my head? Because nobody remembers.
She had a wonderful time doing it, though, to be fair. She looks so happy. So, I mean, come on. Let the girl have a good time. That's all I'll say. But look, folks, we're going to leave it there because we're going to go on break now, and then we're going to come back and talk about TNA Hardcore Justice 2007. Yeah. So we'll be back after this break, or if you're listening on the podcast, or if you're listening on the radio, we'll be back next week, every Tuesday here on Phoenix 92.5 FM. This is The Wrestling Rewind with myself and Martin Herty. We'll talk to you on the next one.
Keep our left.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.